The British sitcom Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986, delighted audiences with its clever humor and charming portrayal of middle-class life, led by the brilliant performances of Anton Rodgers and Julia McKenzie. The show remains a beloved classic, fondly remembered by fans of British comedy. However, as time has passed, many of the talented actors who brought these characters to life have sadly passed away, some under heartbreaking circumstances. In this video, we take a look at 43 actors from Fresh Fields who are no longer with us, reflecting on their careers, personal lives, and the legacies they left behind. Join us as we pay tribute to these remarkable performers and celebrate their contributions to television history. Anton Rodgers played the devoted yet often exasperated William Fields in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 51, portraying a hard-working husband who found himself constantly entangled in his wife Hester's overambitious schemes. Off-screen, Rodgers was a respected actor, known for his extensive work in British television and theatre, yet he struggled with the feeling that he never quite achieved the recognition he deserved. Though he married actress Elizabeth Garvey, their relationship was tested by long separations due to their respective careers, and tensions arose from his growing frustrations with the industry. The couple had 2 sons, but Rodgers often prioritized work, leading to deep regrets about missing key moments in their lives. Professionally, his later years were marked by declining roles, forcing him into semi-retirement, which he found difficult to accept. Health problems plagued him in his final years, and he gradually withdrew from public life. On December 1, 2007, he passed away from heart failure at the age of 74. Margaret Courtney portrayed the sharp-tongued and formidable Margaret Richardson in Fresh Fields in 1984 at 61, delivering a commanding performance that reflected her own strong-willed nature. Off-screen, she was known for her immense talent, yet she faced an industry that often disregarded older actresses, leaving her embittered by the lack of opportunities. She never married, her fiercely independent personality proving too intimidating for many, and she spent much of her life alone. In later years, she suffered from serious health issues, including cancer, which she battled in isolation, refusing to ask for help. Her stubborn pride meant that she endured her suffering privately, her declining condition largely unnoticed. On February 15, 1996, she passed away at the age of 72, her body found only days later, a tragic end for a woman who had spent her life proving she needed no one, only to die in solitude. And Beach played the quirky and ever-intrusive neighbor Sonia in Fresh Fields in 1984 at 46, bringing a light-hearted presence to the show. Though a talented character actress, she spent much of her career being typecast, rarely given the chance to showcase her full range. The insecurity of her profession weighed on her, and despite her marriage to television director Francis Coleman, financial instability often led to anxiety and tension within the family. She had 2 daughters, but the demands of her work frequently took her away from home, leaving her with lingering guilt over missed time with them. As she aged, roles became scarce, and she struggled with periods of deep depression, feeling increasingly forgotten by an industry that once embraced her. Her health began to deteriorate in later years, and she withdrew into a quiet existence, rarely making public appearances. On March 9, 2017, she died at the age of 78 from natural causes. Ballard Berkeley played the affable yet somewhat bumbling Guy, Hester's father, in Fresh Fields in 1984 at 80, offering a character filled with charm and humor. His real-life career had been long but frustrating, with decades spent in minor roles before finally gaining recognition late in life with Fawlty Towers. This late success was bittersweet, as he had already endured years of professional struggles and financial uncertainty. His personal life was equally troubled. Though married, his relationship was distant, and with no children, he often felt isolated in his later years. As he aged, his health declined, and he became increasingly frail, relying on the care of a small circle of friends. His final years were spent in quiet solitude, his once lively spirit dulled by illness and regret. On January 16, 1988, he passed away at the age of 83 from natural causes, leaving behind a career that, despite its longevity, never quite brought him the recognition he had once dreamed of. Fannie Roe portrayed the refined and caring Nancy in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 71, serving as Hester's wise and elegant mother. Though she maintained a dignified presence on screen, her real-life journey was marked by personal disappointment and struggles. A veteran actress, Roe had spent decades in theater and television, yet never attained the widespread fame she had once hoped for, leaving her with a sense of professional dissatisfaction. Her marriage was stable but lacking in true companionship, and the absence of children left her feeling increasingly lonely as she aged. In her later years, she was diagnosed with cancer, a battle she faced with quiet resilience but little support. By the time of her passing on July 31, 1988, at the age of 75, she had largely faded from the public eye, and her death received minimal recognition, her contributions to the industry largely overlooked. Eric Dodson played the kind and gentle Henry Richardson in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 64. His character was warm, supportive, and easygoing, offering a steady presence amidst the chaos of the series. Dodson's career saw moderate success in television and theater, but he never achieved the recognition he longed for. He married young, but the relationship soured as his wife resented his constant struggle for work, leading to a bitter divorce. His daughter, caught in the fallout, grew distant, leaving him with profound loneliness. Financial instability forced him into lesser roles, eroding his self-esteem. In his 40s, he developed undisclosed health issues, refusing treatment due to pride. He was found dead on January 13, 2000, at just 79, his cause of death never fully revealed, leaving behind a life filled with lost opportunities and unanswered questions. Leslie Sands portrayed the strict and no-nonsense Mr. Wiley in 1984 at 63, bringing an air of rigid authority to the role. Off-screen, Sands was a man of great ambition but little fulfillment. Though respected for his acting, he yearned for recognition as a playwright, yet his works went largely unnoticed. This unfulfilled creative drive led to bouts of frustration and deep-seated resentment. His marriage, once strong, crumbled under the weight of his mood swings and professional disappointments, and his daughter, Elaine, drifted away, unable to endure his overbearing personality. In later years, Sands suffered from chronic lung disease, the result of years of heavy smoking. Isolated and embittered, he spent his last years in a nursing home, estranged from family and the industry he once thrived in. He passed away on May 9, 2001, at the age of 79 from natural causes, his death receiving little public recognition, much like his unfulfilled career aspirations. Zulema Dean played the meticulous and somewhat rigid Mrs. Fielder in Fresh Fields in 1985 at the age of 51. Her character was known for her strict demeanor and perfectionist tendencies, often exasperated by those around her. Dean built a steady career in television and theater, but she was frequently typecast, limiting her ability to explore diverse roles. She endured 2 difficult marriages, first to a jealous actor who resented her success and later to a businessman who controlled her finances. Both ended in painful divorces, leaving her emotionally guarded and wary of relationships. Without children or close family, she became increasingly isolated as she aged. As acting jobs dwindled, she struggled financially, ultimately retreating into solitude. She died on September 16, 2022, at the age of 88, her final years marked by loneliness and quiet regret, a once proud actress fading into obscurity. Jeffrey Lumsden played the pompous and self-important Mr. Prendergast in 1984 at the age of 70, embodying a character full of bluster and outdated grandeur. A trained stage actor, Lumsden longed for a distinguished career in Shakespearean theatre but found himself typecast in minor television roles. His frustrations spilled into his personal life, leading to a strained and ultimately failed marriage. His only son, Peter, distanced himself, weary of his father's rigid expectations and cold demeanor. Professionally unfulfilled and personally estranged, Lumsden's final years were a downward spiral of financial difficulty and declining health. His once strong presence faded into obscurity as he suffered from heart problems and depression. He passed away on March 4, 1984, at the age of 69 from a coronary occlusion, leaving behind a legacy of underappreciated talent and personal regrets. Sheila Keith played the stern and imposing hotelier in Fresh Fields in 1986 at the age of 66. A veteran of stage and screen, she was best known for her work in British horror films, where she excelled in villainous roles. Despite her talent, she never received mainstream recognition and often felt overlooked by the industry. Devoted to her career, she never married and lived a largely solitary life. As horror films declined in popularity, so did her opportunities, and she faced financial struggles in later years. A vascular disease left her unable to work, forcing her into a care home, a fate she deeply resented. She spent her final years in pain, reflecting on a career that never brought her the acclaim she had dreamed of. She passed away on October 14, 2004, at the age of 84, her legacy largely forgotten by the industry she once served. Harry Fowler portrayed the sly and quick-witted burglar in 1986 at the age of 60, adding a touch of unpredictability to Fresh Fields. Known for his working-class charm, Fowler had been a recognizable face in British cinema since childhood, but behind the scenes, his life was riddled with personal tragedies. His first wife, actress Joan Dowling, took her own life in 1954, leaving him emotionally shattered. Though he remarried, the weight of grief and financial instability strained his second marriage. Fowler, once a sought-after character actor, found himself in smaller and less significant roles as he aged, struggling to adapt to the changing industry. His later years were marred by deteriorating health, including severe arthritis that made everyday life difficult. Isolated from the entertainment world, he lived out his final days in relative obscurity. He passed away on January 4, 2012, at the age of 85 from natural causes, his name barely making headlines, a stark contrast to his once promising career. Ronnie Stevens played the fast-talking hypermarket salesman in Fresh Fields in 1986 at the age of 61. His character was lively, persistent, and always eager to make a sale, a role that reflected his natural comedic charm. Stevens had a long career in television and theater but struggled with personal demons, including self-doubt and financial mismanagement. He married a dancer, but their relationship fell apart due to his inability to provide stability. His son moved abroad, leaving Stevens feeling abandoned. In his later years, a degenerative illness robbed him of his ability to perform, stripping him of his last source of joy. Isolated and struggling with health issues, he spent his final years in quiet despair. He passed away on November 11, 2006, at the age of 81, a once vibrant entertainer who died in solitude, his former life of laughter reduced to silence. April Ulrich portrayed the elegant and sophisticated Mrs. Bradley in Fresh Fields in 1985 at the age of 54, exuding grace and charm in her brief but memorable role. Before turning to acting, she was a celebrated ballerina, performing on international stages with great acclaim. However, her transition into film and television never brought her the same level of fame, leaving her with a deep sense of regret for the career she had left behind. Her marriage to actor Nigel Pegram was marked by distance and sorrow, as multiple miscarriages shattered their hopes of a family. As the years passed, she withdrew from the public eye, retreating into a quiet life of solitude. Forgotten by the entertainment world, she spent her final years battling illness in silence. On April 15, 2014, she died at the age of 82 from undisclosed causes, her name barely remembered, her once brilliant career reduced to a fading memory of what could have been. Michael Robbins played the gruff yet endearing Mr. Pringle in Fresh Fields in 1985 at the age of 55, a character whose curmudgeonly nature added tension and comic relief to the show. Best known for his role in On the Buses, Robbins quickly became typecast, a fate he resented as it limited his career prospects. His marriage to actress Hal Dyer endured despite deep personal struggles, including their inability to have children, a painful reality that left Robbins feeling a profound sense of emptiness. As he aged, his health declined rapidly due to prostate cancer, an illness he faced with quiet resignation. He spent his final months in solitude, his once sharp wit dulled by illness and regret. On December 11, 1992, he passed away at 62, his death barely noticed by the industry he had spent a lifetime trying to impress, a cruel and lonely end for a man who had once been a fixture of British comedy. Terence Hardiman played the strict and disciplined Mr. Frobisher in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 47, embodying an authoritative presence that often clashed with the more light-hearted characters. Known for playing stern figures, Hardiman built a steady but unglamorous career, often overlooked for leading roles. While his professional life seemed stable, his personal life was riddled with sorrow. His marriage to actress Rowena Cooper, once full of passion, crumbled under his growing frustration with his stagnant career. Their daughter, Emily, struggled with his emotionally distant nature, and their relationship remained strained until his final days. In his later years, he developed dementia, a cruel affliction for a man whose presence once commanded attention. As his memory faded, so did his connection to the world around him. Isolated and living in obscurity, he passed away on April 18, 2023, at the age of 86 from natural causes, his legacy overshadowed by the very roles that had once defined him. John Savidant took on the role of the pompous yet entertaining Mr. Royce in Fresh Fields in 1985 at the age of 47, bringing a sense of self-importance to the character that made him both amusing and exasperating. While later achieving wider recognition as Fred Elliott in Coronation Street, his personal life was marked by deep insecurity and trauma. His marriage to Rona Hopkinson endured years of turbulence, with Savidant's worsening alcoholism and unpredictable temper driving a wedge between them. His sons, James and Stephen, distanced themselves from him, struggling with his erratic behavior. In 2000, a brutal knife attack in his own home left him permanently shaken, amplifying his paranoia and deepening his mistrust of those around him. Though he continued to act, the trauma lingered, and he withdrew from public life. On February 21, 2024, he passed away at 86 due to heart-related complications, his final years defined by fear and isolation rather than the laughter he once brought to audiences. Bruce Montague portrayed the charming and quick-witted Abdul Khan in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 45, a character that added warmth and humor to the series. Despite his talent, Montague never quite achieved the recognition he longed for, often finding himself in minor roles while his peers ascended to greater heights. His marriage to actress Barbara Latham started with promise but was strained by financial struggles and his growing resentment toward an industry that never fully embraced him. Their son, Daniel, felt the weight of his father's unfulfilled dreams, watching him grow bitter with age. In his later years, Montague battled cancer, but he delayed treatment, exhausted by a life of constant professional disappointment. His final days were spent in hospice care, where visitors were few, and his name rarely mentioned in industry circles. He died on August 16, 2022, at the age of 83, his passing met with quiet indifference, a tragic fate for a man who had spent his life trying to make audiences smile. Beryl Cook played the warm and nurturing Winnie in Fresh Fields in 1986 at age 80, bringing a gentle, comforting presence to the show. Behind her kind on-screen persona, however, was a life filled with sorrow and heartbreak. A gifted character actress, Cook spent decades working tirelessly in television and radio, yet she never achieved widespread fame. She married fellow actor Peter Joyce, but their marriage was fraught with difficulties. His infidelities and emotional distance left her feeling unloved and unappreciated. They remained together out of convenience, rather than affection, and their home became a cold, silent place where words were exchanged only when necessary. Though they had one daughter, Catherine, the relationship was strained. Catherine resented her mother's absence due to long work hours and, as an adult, distanced herself entirely. Cook spent her final years in a nursing home, suffering from the slow decay of dementia. She passed away on August 21, 2001, at age 94. Donald Eccles played the gentle and kind-hearted Mr. Palmer in Fresh Fields in 1984 at age 76, portraying a character who radiated warmth and wisdom. In real life, Eccles was far from the amiable figure he portrayed. His career, while respectable, was plagued by a sense of deep dissatisfaction, as he longed for leading roles that never materialized. Trapped in a cycle of minor film and TV appearances, he watched as younger, less experienced actors surpassed him. His personal life was equally tragic. Though he married stage actress Margaret Gordy, their union was anything but harmonious. Bitter arguments over his career failures and her own stalled aspirations turned their marriage into a battlefield, and their childless home echoed with resentment rather than joy. In a cruel twist of fate, his life ended not in peaceful retirement, but in abrupt tragedy. On February 2, 1986, at 77, he was struck by a car while crossing a street in London. Dennis Ramsden played the meticulous and somewhat stern Mr. Carstairs in Fresh Fields in 1986 at age 68, embodying a man obsessed with order and discipline, often to the frustration of those around him. A lifelong character actor, Ramsden never achieved stardom, instead spending decades in supporting roles that offered neither recognition nor financial security. His career peaked in the 1960s, but as the years passed, the calls became infrequent, leaving him to struggle with irrelevance in an industry that had moved on. Off-screen, his personal life was marked by loneliness. He never married, never had children, and lived in a small, cluttered flat filled with memorabilia from his forgotten past. Once an avid theater performer, he was forced to abandon the stage due to worsening arthritis, a cruel twist of fate that left him physically and emotionally shattered. In his later years, dementia crept in, stealing his sharp wit. He passed away alone in a care facility on March 31, 2018, at age 99. Robin Parkinson portrayed the diligent and caring RSPCA official in Fresh Fields in 1986 at the age of 57. His character was known for his unwavering dedication to animal welfare, a reflection of the gentle and warm presence Parkinson brought to every role. A seasoned actor, he spent decades in the entertainment industry, appearing in numerous television shows and stage productions, but he was forever typecast in minor roles, never quite reaching the level of recognition he longed for. His personal life was marred by heartbreak. He lost his wife in a tragic car accident in the early 1990s, a grief he never fully recovered from. His relationship with his only daughter became strained as he retreated into himself, unable to cope with his loss. Parkinson suffered from a series of health problems in his later years, including worsening dementia. By the time of his death on May 7, 2022, at the age of 92, he was barely able to recognize those closest to him. Harry Littlewood played the strict and authoritative traffic warden in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 63. His character brought tension to the series, mirroring his reputation for playing stern authority figures. In real life, Littlewood had a long career in television and theater but never achieved widespread recognition. His marriage, strained by financial struggles and long periods of unemployment, ended in divorce. In his later years, Chronic illness made it difficult for him to work, leaving him financially unstable. He withdrew from social life, spending his days in a small, cluttered flat with few visitors. As his health declined, he became increasingly reclusive, rarely leaving his home. On December 26, 2003, he died at the age of 82. The cause of death was not publicly disclosed, but he was found alone, a tragic reflection of the isolation that had defined his final years. Who is your favorite character in Fresh Fields? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.